Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today I will be giving a lyrical analysis and breakdown of Fils de Joie by Stromae, and this song is super deep, and so I feel like I need a follow-up video to my first time ever reacting to the song. In that reaction, I also saw the explanation video by Stromae, so a week and a half later, I feel like I understand the song a bit better, and I'm gonna give my own thoughts and opinions on what I think the meaning of the song is. And with that being said, this is a disclaimer that I am in no way trying to say that this is what Stromae intended the message of the song to be or what he means by the lyrics. I'm just giving my own thoughts and opinions and basically how I interpret the song. Without further ado, let's get into it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below if you want, and let's go. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do to start this breakdown is to identify two major themes that occur throughout the lyrics, and I'm gonna write them down here just so that I remember them as well. But the first one is gonna be socioeconomic status. So socioeconomic status. And so what I mean by socioeconomic status is a combination of a person's income, their education, and their career, and how that contributes to their status in society, okay? Number two is the double standards placed upon women. So what I mean by double standards placed upon women is, first, double standard means that a standard or a rule that society agrees upon and how that is unequally distributed or placed upon different groups. This one in particular is double standards placed upon women, okay? So with those two themes identified, let's dive in to the first verse of the song. And so this first verse, as Stromae has mentioned, is in the perspective of the John, or the customer of the woman who is the main topic of the song. And so I'm gonna say probably the first 5 lines. And so, being alone is not easy, and it's been a year since my last time. Being judgmental is much easier, especially when you've never tried it. The hardest part, well, it's the first time, and now what's hard is to decide when the last time will be. Okay, so the first thing to identify is, I would say, like 1.5 justifications for this person's actions. So this person gives us the justification that it is hard to be alone, okay? The second justification he gives is, it's been years since my last time. So not only is he currently alone, but he's been alone for a long time. So that's why I say 1.5, because it's not like a full second reason, but it just contributes to that first reason. So those are the justifications he gives. So now let's move on to the second 3 lines. Being judgmental is much easier, especially when you've never tried it. The hardest part, well, it's the first time, and now what's hard is to decide when the last time will be. So in my opinion, these 4 lines to me show the addictive quality of the action that he's doing. So basically, the deed he's doing, I'm just gonna call it like that, the deed he's doing is addictive, and it's adding to that justification. I mean, many people in the world are alone, and they don't have a partner, whether romantically or sexually or whatever it is, they don't have a partner. But they don't go out and do these things that the John is doing, right? So to me, the reason why he uses this very general reason that many people can relate to justify such specific acts that he is doing that not many people would do, right, is based on the addictive quality of what he's doing. So that's what I think that section of lines means. So now let's move into the second half of that verse, okay? It says, I'm not against a little tenderness at times, it's true. Maybe this time around we can do it with me insulting her. Yeah, everything can be bargained for in this life if you got the money. And after all, I'm probably her best customer. In my opinion, this section of the lyrics is the apex of this verse, simply because this section connects to all other sections of the song, okay? And the reason why is because it has within it this theme of socioeconomic status. And so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to identify words that spark that image of socioeconomic status. And the first word is, of course, bargained. And then money, of course, because it's the word money. And then Third word is customer, okay, or best customer. Those three words instantly make me think socioeconomic status. And to figure out the way that these words fit into the context of the song, we're going to look at the first two lines of this second half of the verse that I mentioned, basically the first two lines that I just said, okay? I'm not against a little tenderness at times, it's true. Maybe this time around we can do it with me insulting her. So we've got these three words. Now we have two contrasting words, and the words are tender or tenderness and insulting. This section is extremely important because it shows a shift in mentality of this John. It shows how the John is going from tender to insulting, which leads me to question why. So what makes him go from tender while they do this thing that is very personal, right, to now justifying his want to insult this person while they do something that's very personal? And in my opinion, it's this last line, I am probably her best customer, because now here's the kicker. Their relationship changes. And this is going to be my English literature analysis mess that you guys are going to be like, I think she's kind of crazy. But if you go all the way back to the beginning of this verse, it says, being alone is not easy. Okay, so what is he trying to get out of this relationship with this woman initially? It's love. He wants a lover who he can share this connection with because he's tired of being alone. But by the end of the line, he changes from a lover mentality to a purchaser or a customer mentality. In my opinion, this line of tenderness to insult follows that train from lover to customer. And the difference, the changing point in that relationship is money. Lovers are not connected by anything that has to do with money. It's about your feeling, your emotions. But now we're taking away those emotions and we're turning it into something based on money. In my opinion, his treatment of her changes because he recognizes that he's at this status of wealth and she's at this status of wealth. He has control over her because he is essentially purchasing her, and she doesn't have any control over him because she is at a subordinate socioeconomic status. Okay, yeah, but now you're probably thinking I'm kind of crazy, but this is what I see within these lyrics, and hopefully that makes sense. If you guys want any clarifications, I'd be glad to discuss this more in the comment section down below. So now let's move on to the chorus. So the chorus, as Stromae has mentioned, is in the perspective of the son, and he says, but hey, leave my mom alone. Yes, I know she's not perfect. It's true. She's a hero, and I will always speak of her with pride. I'll speak of her with pride. I interpret this, surprise, surprise, in a generally very face value way. I just think that this is the son stating how he thinks about his mother. I don't think there's anything especially deep or profound about this statement. I think it's very, very straightforward. So let's move on to the second one. He says, I'm a son of a whore, as they say, and everything she's done for them, forgive them, they're dumb. Oh dear mom, they dehumanize you, it's easier for them, but they also court you, and everybody looks the other way. So let's break it down once again. So now we can see how the reputation of this boy's mother is influencing the way that he is viewed, and it's because he is associated with her. So that's what the first line definitely outlines, but he goes a little bit deeper, and this is where I think the son is gonna address the double standards that are placed upon women. So to really get to the root of this double standards placed upon women, let's first identify what is the John doing that society views as negative. And the first thing he's doing is I'll say doing a deed. He's doing a deed outside of marriage or outside of a normal relationship, right? And the second thing he's doing is he is buying a person's time with his money. So now let's think about what is the woman, and I'll just say woman because I don't want to get demonetized, but what is the woman doing that is outside of the social norm? She is doing a deed outside of marriage or relationship or normal relationship, right? And she is selling said deed or selling her time. So on face value, as it is very clear, these two people, this John and this woman, are essentially doing the same thing. So then why does everybody look the other way when the John does this, but they call the mother that word at the beginning, a whore. The ridicule is unfairly distributed upon both parties. It is leaning towards the woman rather than the man. So that is where I see a double standard placed upon women coming into play within these lyrics. That being said, let's look upon the second verse. Okay, so the second verse is in the perspective of the pimp. The first thing that we're gonna see, or I want you guys to look for as I read it, is that first theme, socioeconomic status. Okay, so why does everybody hate me? I'm the one feeding them. Their lives would be way more mediocre. Without me, their lives would be bad. A place to sleep safely, that has a price, missy. Well, duh, everything, or in this life, everything comes at a price. Nobody ever told you? Okay, so I'm gonna stop here. So already, I hope you guys can see that we're seeing socioeconomic status come into play within these lines. We're seeing the words feeding, we're seeing the word sleep safely, and the word price twice actually. And these are all things that cost money / are referencing money. So now we're going to get into some justifications that the pimp makes that is going to tie into the whole theme of socioeconomic status and just show his character and what he thinks of himself. The first one is, why does everyone hate me? I'm the one feeding them. Feeding and having food is a basic human necessity, and I want this to be very well known because he's not saying, why does everyone hate me? I'm the one giving them Louis Vuitton bags. He's not saying like anything like that. He is saying, why does everyone hate me? I'm the one giving them a basic human necessity. So in my opinion, if you are an employer, the lowest possible thing that you can give your workers as far as pay or whichever method you are repaying them in is food, okay? So he is saying that their lives would be way more mediocre. And if you apply that back to the first line, you can see how twisted his justification is because he's saying mediocre. And I'm like, if you didn't give them food, their lives would not be just mediocre. Like their lives, they would be dead. Like, we hate you because you're not giving them the fair pay that they deserve for the work they're doing. So now, a place to sleep safely. This one, obviously, a house is a lot more expensive than food. However, categorizing like a living space as a place makes it seem like it's not like he's offering them a mansion. He's offering them a place to sleep safely. Maybe they don't even have their own room, right? So that's the kind of inferences that we can get from the language that Stromae is using here. Already we have two basic human necessities that this person, this man, is using to justify his treatment of these women. I'm giving them food, I'm giving them a place to sleep, and therefore I basically have control over their lives and their bodies. So as you can see, this verse is just really good. Like, Stromae does an amazing job about showing how twisted this guy's mind is by just the lyrics alone. Okay, and I think this is a perfect example of like something that's quintessentially Stromae, is that he likes to use these like satirical sections of his song. And if I recall correctly, within the music, he takes on that satirical tone where you can just tell that he's being sarcastic. So that's how I interpret the first section of lines. Okay, so now let's go into the second half. They say I'm guilty of human trafficking, but 50, 40, 30, or 20% is not nothing. They better not delude themselves and think that they're models, ladies, or should I say hookers. Okay, so this again is referencing society's view and also projecting that double standard upon ladies, okay? So let's look at that last line, ladies, or should I say hookers. So let's start with asking ourselves, what does the word hooker mean? And hooker implies that a person is reeling in or hooking on to another person and therefore is the cause or is the reason behind whatever deed is going to follow up. He's labeling these ladies as hookers, and here's the real hypocrisy, is who is actually bringing in these customers? The pimp. The pimp is. So that's where that double standard comes into play, is he is labeling these women as the people who are reeling in these customers, when in reality it's him. And so just to compare one more time, what does the word pimp imply in society? I mean, there's lots of variations of the word pimp used in songs, in pop culture, like Big Pimpin', whatever you want to call it, right? that paint this word in a positive light. When you say big pimpin', you're like, that's like what everyone wants to be, right? And so there's that double standard applying to this song once again. Then we have the chorus again, which I already went over, and now we're gonna go into the last section of lyrics, and that is the lyrics of the sheriff, cop, whatever you want to call it, the law enforcement officer. I know that it's your job, but I gotta do mine too, don't I? The difference between us two is that I do pay taxes. Move along now, woman. Take back your ID and what's left of your dignity. You're pathetic. Tisk, tisk. Find yourself a real job. Let's start with the beginning. So what does the beginning 2 lines mean? I know that it's your job, but I gotta do mine too, don't I? Or I gotta do mine, don't I? Right now, he's actually making a similarity between the two people, the woman and himself, right? He's saying that it's a job. Maybe you don't want to do this job. Maybe it's not your choice, right? And he's saying that maybe it's not my choice that I have to arrest you, but it's my job. I have to do it. So this is a similarity that he brings up between both of them. However, in the third and second line of this verse, and that's when he says, the difference between us two is that I do pay taxes. Now he goes back on my initial like, okay, you're fine, to like, never mind. However, these lyrics are really interesting. So he says the difference. So what does the word the imply? It implies that there's one, and not only that there's one, but there's one singular thing, right? So you can interpret the difference as being there is only one difference between us, that he pays taxes and she does not. And what does the paying taxes versus not paying taxes imply? It implies that his job is legal and her job is not. Say this woman's a bad person. That means that this cop could have the same list of bad things about him. But say this woman is a good person underneath her job, it's saying that this cop is also a good person. And so that implies that their job aside, they are both the same person. They're both human beings. And that's, to me, what Stromae is implying with these 2 lines. So hopefully that makes sense. So who are we to judge an entire person based upon this one singular thing? Because our instant thought is to say, oh, this cop is perfect. He's wonderful. And this woman's crazy. She should be in jail. However, the only difference between them, the only fundamental difference, is their job title. So that's why I really like these 2 lines. And once again, yeah, could be looking way too far into it, but that's what I do, so that's what we're gonna do. So now we go to the second half. He says, move along now, woman. Take back your ID and what's left of your dignity. You're pathetic. Tisk, tisk. Find yourself a real job. So those lines I kind of interpret in a very general way. I think that he's just telling her that she needs to basically get a new start and get a different job. However, you're pathetic is kind of harsh to me, just because, once again, he doesn't know why she got into that job in the first place. Maybe she had an extremely tough life, and by saying that she's pathetic is probably not going to help her gain the confidence, perhaps, to get out of the situation she's in. So I think that Stromae here is showing how someone like a cop should maybe treat someone who's in this situation with a little bit more sympathy, or maybe try to look at the person behind the job. But anyways, those are just some inferences that I'm making based on these lyrics. It's not necessarily within the lyrics. So that was like a side note, I guess. The whole like, maybe the cop shouldn't judge people as harshly. Yeah, that's just my own inference. Okay, so that was the end of my in-depth analysis of these lyrics. Obviously, I didn't go over every single little detail, but I think I was detailed enough. I hope you guys are probably like, oh my goodness, what the heck? But yeah, so thank you guys for watching. Of course, let me know all of your thoughts and opinions down below. The reason why I started this channel is so that I can discuss music and have conversations with people who share my music interests, and I learn a lot from you guys. I really do. Oh, I wanted to say one more thing. So a lot of people were talking about the way I pronounce Stromae, and I totally get where you guys are coming from, because I do know that his name is pronounced in various ways. It can be pronounced Stromae, like fully French. It could be pronounced Stromae, which would be like half English, half French. And the reason why I pronounce it Stromae rather than Stromae or Stromae would be that I mean, I'm American, like, I don't know. Like, I can speak, like, some French words, but I feel uncomfortable saying it, like, fully like that every time I say his name. I don't know, it sounds strange to me, I guess, like, speaking English. So, and I've heard in interviews that he doesn't really mind the way that people say it, at least the interviews that I've seen. I've seen interviewers call him Stromae before and him refer to himself as Stromae. That's why I've kind of stuck with calling him Stromae rather than Stromae or Stromae, so you can't even say it. Yeah, so M-A-E in English is pronounced as May rather than my. Yeah, so that's just my quick explanation as to the pronunciation that I chose for Stromae. So thank you guys so much for letting me know, though, all of the various pronunciations, because I even had some people go, oh, you're pronouncing his name correctly, and then some people saying, oh, it's pronounced this way, and so I was like, okay, yeah, like, I don't know. I don't know which one to choose. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with Stromae. But, you know, maybe I'll say Stromae every once in a while. Yeah, so thank you guys so much, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!